What is going on, everybody? My name is Ethan, and welcome back to HardCap Games. Mario Sluggers is one of my favorite games of all time. It released on August 25th in 2008 in the Americas. This fun, whimsical, cartoony baseball game led me to hundreds of hours of entertainment, playing exhibitions against my brother, toy field mini games, and the subspace emissary of sports video games, Challenge Mode, in which you go around Baseball Island collecting teammates to take on the nefarious King Bowser. As of the release of this video, we haven't seen a Sluggers game in over 16 years, almost 6,000 days ago. Unless we decide to count Mario Sports Superstars for the 3DS, which... do we? A lot of Mario games have released since Sluggers, which is the last definitively baseball experience. However, in the Switch era, we've seen tennis, the Olympics, rest in peace, golf, and even Strikers get remakes, which leaves Sluggers as the only one without a representative game. And since there have been so many new games since the last time we saw Sluggers, surely the next installment would have to include some of those new characters that we've seen along the way. So today, I'm going to go over what my dream roster would be if I were making the new Sluggers game for Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2. When crafting these teams, I wanted each one to feel unique and related to the character at hand. One of my biggest issues with the Sluggers roster is that it kind of feels shallow and sometimes strange, like Mario having Blooper and Monty Mole on his roster. When they were making this game, they were limited by the roster they had at the time, but with more characters out there now, it just makes sense to keep them related to each other. The other issue was figuring out which characters related to who the most, and so the rosters for these teams are actually incredibly different. If you think I forgot a character, it's very possible I did. I'm working with 154 different characters here, so let me know down in the comments who I missed or who you would have moved to what team, and be sure to leave a like if you enjoy. I'll preface this by saying that each one of the captains from the original Mario game, except for one which I'll explain later, get to retain their captain status, but each one of these captains now has their own team that goes along with them. So you no longer have captains and co-captains like Mario and Luigi, Peach and Daisy. You have each one of these characters getting their own roster. Additionally, all those color variants like the 55,000 versions of Yoshi that are in the game, they're all just kind of crammed down into one character because I want to have a wide variety of characters in the game. This also allows Nintendo to add maybe some live service costumes for characters like Metal Mario or Golden Mario or Cat Mario. With that being said, let's jump right in. Speaking of Mario, up first is the main man himself, Mario. Mario has a team that focuses on the protagonist lifestyle. Mario's always been the leading man, being that, the franchise is named after him. So what's more fitting for Mario than giving him his friends who've helped him out in so many of his adventures? Mario's roster consists of the Piantas and the Nokis to start with, which have been combined into one character each. You can choose which color you want. I figure this game can just have the color variations, but they're not different enough to warrant taking up 6 different slots on Mario's team. However, that does mean that in this game you can't roll up with 3 different Piantas on your team because it is just one character. In a similar vein, Mario is also supported by 6 Lumas. Some of his most trusted allies and companions come in next, including Cappy from Mario Odyssey, Geno from Mario RPG, Vivian from Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Starlo or Chippy from Bowser's Inside Story. Finishing out Mario's team will be the Ninjas, who I figure can be super fast because they're kind of the speedrunning representation of Mario, Olivia from Origami King, and finally, the Penguin from Mario 64. Mario does get to keep his special abilities in this world. I see no reason to change it. Next up is Luigi, who also coincidentally has his own line of games, being the Luigi's Mansion franchise. In Sluggers and in Superstar Baseball, Luigi also has his own Luigi's Mansion stage. So adding some of these characters from games to Luigi's team does make a decent amount of sense to me. We can start by adding Dr. Egad from those games to Luigi's team, and move Boo and King Boo off of Wario's team onto Luigi's. Next we can add Gooigi, Greenie, and Goob and Hammer, which are some of the most common ghost enemies, as well as, Luigi being Luigi but goo. Luigi's trusted partner Polterpup can come in, and his team is rounded out by Nabbit, who kind of rose to stardom with Super Luigi Bros. Luigi's Special of the Tornado has always felt weird to me, but it's consistent across his sports games, so maybe there's no reason to change it, but I would suggest changing it to be related to the poltergeist if this team is Luigi's Mansion related. Next we have Yoshi, and his 5 trillion color variations have been squished into one body, and you can choose which one is the captain. Together with Birdo, they're going to kind of combine the entirety of Yoshi's island into one. Yoshi's team is going to consist of Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, moving them off of Mario's team. Yoshi's going to keep Shy Guy and all of his variants together, but he's also going to get Fly Guy and Fat Guy, Wiggler, Poochie, Ukiki, Little Mauser, and my personal goat, Raphael the Raven. Birdo's origins are honestly very empty, but if serving as a counterpart to Yoshi, she can kind of fit right in. She can get Baby Peach, Daisy, and Baby Rosalina, Bandit, Big Bandit, Shy Bandit, and Sniffit. She also gets 2 things that I didn't know existed before starting research for this video: 2 baseball-themed bandits from Super Mario Land, Green Glove and Slugger. Birdo's team is rounded out with Wart from Super Mario 2, which is Birdo's origin game. Yoshi and Birdo's star power, as horrible as they really are, I do think they truly encapsulate the character. I don't think there's anything to change about them, but the only thing I would change is just make those bounces better. I mean, they rarely leave the infield sometimes. Birdo's especially is terrible. Just give them a buff and they'll be fine. Next up, we move on to Wario. Now, Wario is interesting because in the original game, Wario just got all the leftovers. I mean, in the original game, Wario has Waluigi, he has the Boos, he has the Koopas, and he has the Goombas, and that's really just his team. I would say, I don't know how they're moving them to 3D, but I would say that Wario should get a roster of WarioWare characters. Nintendo can figure out how to make these guys 3D, but Wario's roster should really consist of 5V, 9V, Jimmy T, Mona, Ashley, Dr. Crygor, Young Cricket, Penny, Orbulon, and then maybe throw in his greatest villain, Captain Syrup. Wario's split pitch is a cool starting animation, but it's a really terrible pitch. And WarioWare is all about quick time events, and his pitch, it's slow. I would recommend maybe changing his pitch to be 3 quick pitches, 2 of them liar balls, 1 of them real, and maybe he tips his pitch to you when he throws up his W at the beginning. Maybe the placement of his ball in his fingers tells you where that ball is going to be, whether it's the first, second, or third, and maybe it's truly random what it is. I think this would make Wario's pitch a little more interesting. I think him hitting the bomb is also really fitting for Wario, so you can keep that one. Wario's counterpart Waluigi is truly an anomaly though. He has no real origins, he really only arrived to be Wario's double partner in tennis. He is the ultimate weirdo character, so maybe Waluigi has the ultimate weirdos and the villains that can't really go anywhere else? We can start him off with Galumba and Rocky Wrench and maybe throw in Mauser from Mario 2. I think it's very fitting for Midbis and Fawful to end up in here from the Mario and Luigi games. Maybe throw in Lord Crump from Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. You can also throw in Tatanga, the villain from Super Mario Land. Maybe Smithy from Mario RPG. Rob just feels like the most Waluigi-coded character of all time. He's been in a million Mario games, including Mario Kart. He's also in Smash Bros. It wouldn't be too unrealistic to see him here. And you have to include the man himself, Mr. L. Waluigi's Liar Ball isn't bad, but I think it could be improved by turning into more of the zigzag or the elevator pitch from Backyard Baseball. Just a real quick pitch that's unpredictable because he's already a really good pitcher in Sluggers. And when he uses his special, it becomes a slow, gigantic ball that rolls slowly and then drops off, kind of like a splitter. But I think that if he had a pitch that was quick and unpredictable, like the zigzag or the elevator pitch that comes in low and then shoots up, I think it would make it a lot harder to hit. I think in a similar vein, his hit could become the undergrounder, where he hits it and it digs underground and then it just kind of pops up somewhere in the outfield and shoots off. I think it'd be an interesting way to really lean into the fact that Waluigi is just kind of a weirdo. Princess Peach of the Mushroom Kingdom continues to be a captain. Her team changes, I think, the least compared to everybody else except for Donkey Kong. Peach gets to keep Toad, Toadette, and Toadsworth, and then I'm going to add Peachette to her team, which is weird because she's already on the team in the version of Toadette and Peach, but they're technically a different character, so they can come in, I guess. Petey Piranha also gets to make his triumphant return to this team because I couldn't figure out where else to put him. Recently, Lakitu's been making an appearance in the world of Mario games. not just as the referee. And you can race as Lakitu in Mario Kart, but Lakitu will come down and still, you know, do the 3-2-1 thing. So who's to say he can't umpire and also play? Chain Chomp can play tennis, so he can play baseball. Peach did just have her own game release back in the spring, so maybe we can add in Stella and the Theets to this, and we can round off her team with Tiara from Mario Odyssey, who was originally Peach's friend or ally, before getting stolen by Bowser. In terms of abilities, Peach doesn't really have much to go off of, but her abilities are pretty effective, so I guess we could just leave them be. Daisy's in a weird position where she kind of gets leftover Peach characters, plus a couple of her own, plus a couple of, like, here are the rest that need to go somewhere. First off, we're going to add the Sprixies from Mario 3D World. I don't even think Daisy's in that game, but it would make more sense for her to be on Peach's team, but I don't know who to move over. Maybe Lakitu can come over, so we can swap those around maybe. Next up are 2 entries from Daisy's most recent appearance though, which was Mario Wonder, being Prince Florian and the Poplins. I mean, just look at them, they're so daisy-coated. After that, we get 2 more outcasts in Blooper and Monty Mole making their way over from Mario's team. We can then add in 2 characters from Super Mario Land, being Nyolalan and Piampi. Daisy then grabs 2 from Wario's team, being Paragoomba and Paratroopa, and adds in Bombshell Koopa, who I figure can just have, like, ridiculous power. I mean, he's got bomb in the name. Daisy's star abilities might be 2 of my least favorite in the entire game, but I think I don't have a better idea for it. Like, what's she gonna do? Kick the baseball? Her hit is pretty effective. I just really don't like her pitch. I couldn't figure out a better way to incorporate that though. So Daisy's abilities can stay as they are. Donkey Kong and K. Rool need to be split apart. They are mortal enemies. They should not be on the same team. I'll die on this hill. So Donkey Kong is his own captain and K. Rool is his own captain. This does mean we need to round out their teams, which unfortunately means that Diddy Kong is going to be the one who does not retain his captain status. Unless we're going to have 15 different captains, but there just aren't that many characters in the Donkey Kong Country game that are allies of Donkey Kong, unless I'm allowed to dip into Diddy Kong Racing, which I don't think I'm able to do. Because there I could grab, like, you know, Banjo, but I think the sacrifice has to be made. I'm very sorry to all the Diddy fans out there, but I'm gonna be honest, Diddy's pitch and Diddy's hit are like the worst. They are terrible. So Donkey Kong's team is going to consist of himself, Diddy, Funky, Baby DK, Tiny, and Dixie, as it was in the original Sluggers game. From there, we can add in Cranky, Chunky, Kitty, and Candy. And then we have one final slot. And this idea came to me courtesy of Wing It. Go subscribe to Wing It. Wing It's super awesome. We can add an interesting pairing of Rambi and Squawks as a final character, kind of like a Duck Hunt duo. The idea is that Squawks kind of holds the bat and swings, and then Rambi runs. I don't know if this would work in practice. I don't know how they're going to field, but I think it'd be funny. Unless we're going to add in Swanky Kong, which I don't want to do because I hate Swanky Kong and his smile. DK's abilities have just always been worse than his pitching and hitting normally, so I don't think there's anything I could do other than just making them faster. His barrel's pretty slow when it rolls. I think he could pick up the speed on that. I mean, he throws the ball faster than he throws the barrel. I think that the barrel should have some momentum behind it. And I think if he's going to hit it, it should at least break through the infield most of the time. A lot of the time, a second baseman will run into the thing and break the barrel, and then it'll dribble its way into the outfield, which is a single every time. I think it should at least go to, like, the wall. On the other side, we're going to add in King K. Rool. King K. Rool's team would consist of some of the Donkey Kong Country's biggest enemies, including Critter, Crusha, Clump, Crash, Cobble, Skidda, Crossbones, Manky Kong, Zinger, and Naughty. K. Rool's pitch would have to be most likely a shot from his cannon like in Smash Bros, but I think it'd be interesting to make it that if you hit it with the bat somehow, it's an automatic grounder to the catcher, kind of like what happens with Donkey Kong's barrel. It'd be kind of a mirroring effect. K. Rool's hit would be effectively useless because he is one of the best power hitters in the game, but if he's going to get one, I say it should act like Bowser Jr.'s, where it flies up into the air, and when an opponent gets underneath it, instead of like a paintball dropping, a bunch of claptraps just come up and just assault you. It did always feel weird to me that Bowser didn't have all of his allies on his team and was instead just flooded with multiple Dry Bones and Magic Koopas, as well as the 3 Bros. So we're gonna fix that. And first off, he's gonna keep Kamek and Dry Bones, but they're gonna be rolled into one character each. Take the best stats from each one of them, put them together. I don't care. Hammer Bro, Fire Bro, Boomerang Bro do get to stay, and then Bowser's going to pick up Goomba and Koopa, who are his 2 most commonly used pieces of infantry. His team is rounded out by Boom Boom and Pom Pom, which are, you know, the mid-castle bosses for most of his games. Boom Boom, I think, has been in every Mario Bros. Game, and I think Pom Pom is a recent addition, maybe just the 3D world and more recently. But Pom Pom is a pretty important character, I would say. And finally, Bowser's team can be rounded off with King Bob-omb. On the flip side, Bowser Jr.'s team is exactly what you would imagine. It's all the Koopalings: Larry, Morton, Wendy, Iggy, Roy, Lemmy, and Ludwig. He also gets Spike, who has been making an appearance in a lot of sports games recently, Chargin' Chuck, and Dry Bowser. I see no reason to change either one of their special abilities. Their star hits and their star pitches are pretty good. I hate Bowser Jr.'s. I hate going against it, but it's effective and it works. And there's not really source material that says I should change it otherwise, so we're just going to keep them as they are. Our last 2 captains give us space to bring in a lot of new characters. First off is Rosalina, and she allows us to bring in all the characters you know and love from Mario Galaxy. Her trusty Luma Polari and her helmsman Lubba will start us off. We can then add in Captain Toad to make his first appearance in a sports game outside of Mario Kart Tour. We can then add in some of the characters that seemed prominent and also had names, being Queen Bee, the Chimp, Spooky Speedster, Major Burrows, Octumba, Fluzzard, and finally, Camella. Camella's never appeared, as far as I'm aware, outside of Mario Galaxy, which, if Camella had appeared outside of Mario Galaxy, I think I would have put her onto Bowser's team, because she is essentially just a Kamek, but she's different, but she's the Galaxy theme, so she stays on Rosalina's team. Finally, Pauline gets to make her baseball debut with a team full of Mario Odyssey characters. Her team starts off with Madame Brood and the other Broodals, being Topper, Harriet, Spewart, and Rango. Be honest, you didn't know their names until just now. We can then add in Goombette, Glydon, Chivarian, and Pokio. Finally, we'll add in everyone's character from the Mario games, Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. I mean, New Donker. No, but for real, how funny would it be if it was just Aaron Judge's rip from MLB The Show, but just like put into the game? I think it'd be kind of funny. So there we have it. That is what the roster would be if I were in charge of the next Mario Sluggers game. Is this realistic? No. Is it ever going to happen? Probably not. Would the game be good if it was made? I'm not going to hold my breath. But this is the game that I wish would be made. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, tell me which characters I forgot to include, and subscribe if you like Nintendo and or sports content. I do both pretty regularly on the channel. Right here, I have visited a bunch of minor league baseball stadiums and basketball stadiums. I've been to a lot of them, and over here I play video games, so check these out. With that being said, my name is Ethan, this is HardCap Games, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.